The reason why I decided to choose this topic is because there has been tremendous changes and the dynamics of the telecom industry has changed. I'm also the president of the Association of the Telecom Industry, which I assumed the role of only recently. And the composition of the members have also changed. And that has given me an opportunity to think and reflect on why is all these changes happening. So let's look at what Telecom 2.0 is. We all know about Web 2.0, collaborative, participative, right? If you look at Wikipedia, it's a tremendous example of contribution from anyone into a body of language, body of knowledge, right? And that reflects the current state of technology today. There's been a lot of consolidation in the telecom industry. There used to be names like Nortel. There were mergers like Alcatel and Lucent. Like many other computer companies that has disappeared. Some of telecom companies have either shrunk in size, merged, or even disappeared. So, but what is really happening is that new markets are happening. New markets, the web, innovative companies like Apple, and consumer lifestyles have changed. And this passion and this move towards gadget-driven consumer behavior is probably one of the driving forces towards where the telecom landscape has changed. Mobility. We think of mobility as a mobile phone, but it goes beyond that. Beyond mobility is the idea of the connected objects, the idea that machine to machine can communicate using the mobile network. Right? New markets, well, we all know how Apple has changed the whole concept of downloading applications into a mobile phone from the App Store, right? Cloud services, right? Not a new service idea. Cloud services have been around since I started work. Then it was called a service bureau, run typically on IBM mainframe machine. Connected applications are becoming the type of services that is possible now. And we're not talking about device-to-device connectivity. We are talking about software connectivity, the concepts of APIs, the concepts of standards, and the fact that you have got open source, the community of open source driving this enables the connectivity of software becomes very real. Next, we have the infrastructure. Now, I remember the old days in the late 90s. I was with a company, and we were using something similar to Salesforce.com, right? It was a CRM, a web-based CRM. But whenever we go to China, none of our salespeople there wanted to use it. Why? Because the infrastructure then was not ready, right? You submit your sales forecast report over the internet. If it breaks or the line drops, you have to resubmit again, So the convenience and the fact that the infrastructure was not ready definitely has a major impact on some of these new highfalutin ideas that then the dot-com age had tried to implement. So now we have high-speed networks, right? 3G networks, data over 3G HSDPA. You have HSDPA plus, right? Then you have competing technologies like LTE coming in, operators having trials. Notice there's still trials, no commercial deployment yet. WiMAX, of course, our grandfather Intel has been trying to promote WiMAX. but it's probably good as a backhaul technology, right? And we'll probably see a mix of some of this infrastructure technology being deployed in different countries. So that gives us to the rise of what I term telco or telecom 2.0. Who will be the new leaders? And, you know, it is amazing to know that in terms of voice minutes transmitted across the world, the largest voice provider in the world is Skype. Not AT&T, not Airtel, not China Telecom, but it's Skype. Now, that gives us a rise to another question. Google has just introduced Google Voice in Gmail. For those of you who use Gmail, you now find a green phone icon for you to click. And for those of us outside the US, unfortunately, we are not able to use it. But imagine the day where you can use it, you click on the phone and you talk to another Gmail user. So why is this important? Because through Skype, for those of you who have used Skype, you can still, whilst you make free calls Skype to Skype, but when you can call a landline or mobile phone, you still have to pay for that service. So the operator at the other end still makes some money. The danger that Google offers in terms of the whole marketing landscape is that Gmail to Gmail is free, right? And there are a lot more Gmail users than there are Skype users, all right? And therein lies some of the challenges. So what ties this all together is really the internet. We call it the cloud, but it's really the internet because in the old days you used to draw the cloud representing the internet, right? And high-speed broadband infrastructure has given the rise for cloud services to be delivered not only at good speeds, but at a more affordable cost. And the second half of my presentation, I will touch upon an example, which is the implementation of a next generation broadband network that we have implemented in Singapore itself. So, let's look at some of the industry shifts. I'll move very quickly through some of these slides because some of this probably has been covered by a lot of other speakers. These are some of the typical applications that we saw you know, in the dot-com era, the early 2000s. But today, right, a lot more. And what is happening, you see here, is that a lot more third-party providers are coming to the picture. Telecom providers today have realized that they should really stick to their core competence, which is the provision of very good passive as well as active infrastructure to ensure that the delivery of content and services can go on very quickly as well as affordably. And they are beginning to work more and more with either system integrators or independent software vendors to offer a whole range of services on top of that high-speed infrastructure. Right? So, let's look at some of the challenges and trends in what I would call the Telecom 2.0 world. Declining ARPU. I mean, that is the constant problem that everyone faces. But however, I think in a country like India, economies of scale is still there. The volume of consumers and voice minutes being transmitted is still growing. So you still have some leeway to go. But however, at some point, there's only so much you can lower a price of any service. Right? So if you look at telecom companies, there's been a tremendous shakeout. Right? In the old days, telecom companies could operate with very heavy management team. You know, they're just like any other big bureaucratic large companies, but not today, because margins have fallen, right? And they have been forced to aggregate and package services themselves. So, which means that no longer am I just concerned with building, you know, a wireless infrastructure or wireline infrastructure, but I need to concern myself with having sufficient technical expertise in terms of offering content and services. Even if I have to do it in alliance with a third party, right? Do I have those expertise in-house? The clash of the titans. This is the way in which the large companies have to evolve. The new titan today, as I mentioned, will be Skype and Google. Typically, you would not think of them as a telecom service provider, but they are. There's this concept of a generative access, all right? Whilst you see a shakeout, whilst you see declining revenues, there is really an opportunity there because new markets are being opened. The App Store market is being opened. The fact that high-speed infrastructure is being built, you can get new services in terms of streaming services in music, in TV, in movies, in video, right? These are the new opportunities in terms of the services. And we're probably going to see a lot more what we call asset-light service providers who will focus more on the services rather than infrastructure.